Hello everyone, my name is Zenya Brown. I'm a Phase 2 DVM student here at OVC. This summer I had the pleasure of working on a research project with Dr. Patricia Turner in the Department of Pathobiology on a study that was designed to examine current attitudes towards research animal welfare amongst laboratory animal professionals. To provide some context for our study, it is important to know that there are approximately 3.7 million animals used for research and teaching purposes in Canada. The basic tenet of guidelines put forth by the Canadian Council of Animal Care for meeting lab animal welfare standards within the country is based on the 3 R's principle, which states that investigators must implement replacement, reduction, and refinement practices when designing their experiments. This ensures that we only use animals when absolutely necessary, replacing them with non-animal models such as cell cultures or computer models whenever possible, and that when animal use is justified, we want to ensure that we're using as few animals as possible, thereby reducing animal numbers. And finally, while in our care, we want to refine our experimental procedures and research techniques as much as possible. And this will result in minimizing any pain or distress they may experience. Despite strong support from the scientific community on these ethical principles, significant work still needs to be accomplished to refine care and welfare practices in institutions across the country. The purpose of this project was to assess current attitudes of laboratory animal professionals towards rodents used in teaching and research. These professionals included laboratory animal veterinarians, veterinary technicians, and animal care staff that worked in research institutions across the country. From the information we gathered, we hoped to determine 1, major animal welfare concerns for rodents used in teaching and research, 2, current rodent handling techniques, 3, methods used to assess pain and distress in rodents, and 4, reasons for resistance to change in welfare practices at research facilities. To accomplish these goals, I conducted a series of one-on-one interviews with lab animal professionals via Skype, telephone, or in-person interviews. Participants were all over the age of 18 years old and worked in the field of laboratory animal medicine for at least 6 months. They were asked a series of open-ended questions over a period of approximately 30 to 60 minutes. And all interviews were tape recorded, then transcribed verbatim, and finally coded using a thematic analysis method assisted by the in vivo software program. Here you can see an overview of our participant demographics. I interviewed 17 laboratory animal veterinarians and 18 veterinary technicians / animal caregivers that were geographically distributed across Canada, as you can see here in this table. And they also worked in various types of institutions to ensure that we obtained a representative sample of professionals and facilities in the field. The interview consisted of different series of questions pertaining to different welfare topics, including current animal welfare concerns, mouse handling techniques, and assessment of pain in rodents. The following findings were representative answers obtained from the veterinary group only, as the analysis of veterinary technician responses is still ongoing. In regards to current animal welfare concerns, 100% of the veterinarians interviewed indicated at least one welfare concern for rodents used in teaching and research. The majority of vets identified current rodent housing standards and pain management as their biggest concerns. For example, participant number 12 stated, "I think that for the vast majority of the rodents, the challenge we have is the captivity. Essentially, we've put more efforts into other species to improve their environment, but for rodents, I don't think we've questioned too much." Historical standards and speciesist attitudes were identified as the primary cause for current welfare issues. Indeed, participant 12 commented, "It's certainly historically driven. Mice were put in cages for probably 100 years, and I don't think anyone has ever really challenged that." However, all of the vets believe that it was possible to make changes within institutions to address these issues. As for current mouse handling techniques, most veterinarians were aware of research indicating that scooping mice into the hands or into an inanimate object, such as a tunnel or a cup, has been shown to significantly lower the stress associated with handling. But despite this familiarity with such low stress handling methods, most facilities were still promoting techniques that involve lifting mice by the base of the tail, citing time, reduced risk of bites, and biosecurity reasons for reasons why they did not adopt these low stress handling methods. And finally, questions regarding the assessment of pain in rodents reveal that veterinarians assess pain using a variety of behavioral, physical, and activity measures, with a moderate number of vets formally using the rat grimace scale for cage side assessment. For example, participant number 5 said, "We're using some of the grimace scales here and there in some of our facilities, depending on the nature of the research that's done, the age of the animals." And to just reiterate, these findings that I've outlined were based on interviews conducted with the veterinary group only. The analysis of the veterinary technicians and animal caregivers' responses is still ongoing. However, the interviews I've quoted thus far indicate that their views and opinions are very consistent with those obtained from the veterinarians. So in conclusion, our results indicate no discernible division of views on welfare issues among laboratory animal veterinarians across Canada or at different types of institutions across the country. However, our research reveals several areas where resistance to change in welfare practices are evident, namely housing and handling techniques. We hope that the data collected from this study will be used to inform policy and develop plans to improve animal welfare issues moving forward. Again, I would like to thank Dr. Patricia Turner for allowing me to participate in this project. It's been a wonderful experience that I've enjoyed thoroughly. I'd also like to thank Dr. Jennifer Renners for her assistance with coding the interviews. And I'd also like to thank the Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Development for the Summer Research Scholarship, which allowed me to work on this project. Also the Canadian Association for Laboratory Animal Science and Canadian Association for Laboratory Animal Medicine for their assistance in recruiting participants and allowing us the forum to interview many of our participants. And finally, I'd like to thank the Summer Core Research Program here at OVC for the opportunity to conduct this research and share my findings with my peers, faculty, and staff. Thank you for your time.
Great. So just